Even though the Nintendo 2DS and 3DS lines feel like they're being phased out, there really is no denying the fact that they are treasure troves filled with incredible games that are still worth playing in 2019. So with that said, I've teamed up with some of my friends to see what some of their favorite 3DS games are to see, what's worth playing in 2019. What is up, my friends? It's Ray back here, and today I've teamed up with 4 of my friends, some of whom you may actually know and may actually follow along with already, to talk about 5 Nintendo 2DS and Nintendo 3DS games that are worth playing in 2019. The 3DS line may be near the end, but that really doesn't negate the fact that there are still thousands of phenomenal games for the system. So without further ado, let's see what my buddies think.
Because of my undying love for the 3DS family of systems, when Ray invited me to do this collab, I wasn't sure which game to talk about. In the end, all I had to do is jump into the activity log of my 3DS to just see which game I played the most. That's probably a good pick, right? And the answer was obvious. Animal Crossing New Leaf. I'm not sure if you can see it, but my guy's shirt, it's a Game Boy! And yes, that's my actual birthday. I was never a huge fan of the Animal Crossing series because I don't have the attention span for games like that. But the 3DS title came so highly recommended with such glowing reviews, I had to check it out. And I was so surprised with the game I found. In Animal Crossing New Leaf, you become the unwitting mayor of this little digital town. And the people who live there depend on you to get this thing up and running again. I love that your actions shape the look of the town. I love that sense of accomplishment of trying to perform a task and then completing it and then having something to show for it, even though it's just a digital item in a game. There are all sorts of activities to keep you busy in this game, and there used to be a very strong online component, especially with Street Pass. You could check out people's towns and their homes when you pass by them. Street Pass was a feature that I loved on the 3DS, and I'm kind of sad that is absent on the Switch. I like that you have to go to a little train station in your town to visit your friend's house. I like it when games try to simulate that, like you actually have to commute to go see someone. There's all these little businesses in the store, there's all these NPCs that you get to talk to. It's such a fun game. If there's one thing I don't like, is that it uses a real-time clock. So if you step away from the game for a long time, like it was my case because I've been so busy with my Switch, Isabel, one of the NPCs, actually scolds you for being away for so long. It's a very charming game that is definitely one of my favorites on the 3DS.
Hey Ray, thanks for having me on. There are so many amazing games for the Nintendo 3DS that it was really hard for me to narrow it down to just one of my favorites to share with all of you today. But as you may have guessed, it is going to be something from the Pokemon franchise. But even just narrowing it down to the Pokemon franchise didn't make my decision any easier, because even within that franchise, there are so many amazing games. But today, I present to you Pokemon Detective Pikachu as one of my all-time favorite games on the Nintendo 3DS. Now in this game, we get introduced to a one-of-a-kind, witty, wisecracking, coffee-addicted Pikachu who is in fact a detective. Now on his quest, he enlists your help to not only find his partner, but also your dad. Your journey takes you all around Rhyme City, meeting and talking to a ton of different people and Pokemon, and really expanding the world of Pokemon in a very fun and unique way, which really sets this game apart from anything else in the Pokemon franchise. Not only that, but this game is what gave rise to, of course, the Detective Pikachu movie that was just released, which is really a game changer for the Pokemon and video game movie industry as a whole. And even more than that, Detective Pikachu also gave us our very first giant amiibo. This guy is not only an awesome, full-scale, well-detailed figurine, but he is also an amiibo that can help you out in the game. But even with all of that, there is still more to come. A Detective Pikachu video game has just been announced for the Nintendo Switch, which will finalize the story introduced in Pokemon Detective Pikachu for the 3DS. So there really is no better time to pick up your 3DS again and dive into one of what I think is the best games on Nintendo 3DS, which is Detective Pikachu.
My favorite Nintendo 3DS game of all time? Don't do this to me, Ray! Oh, don't do this to me! Okay, he did it to me. My name is Fur, and I actually went with what is probably a more unpopular choice, Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon. This has got to be my favorite 3DS game, not only because I spent the most time with it, but because growing up, the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon series on the Game Boy Advance and then on the original Nintendo DS were among my favorite games of all time. And to see that pixelated world I grew up with brought to life on the colorful graphics of the Nintendo 3DS was amazing. It's such a fun RPG adventure that has such lasting playability even after after you complete the main storyline, and it's just so cool to see a different side of your favorite Pokemon characters. You get so attached to the characters too that the plot will definitely make you cry. At least 53 times. That's based off personal experience. It's a game that is a must-have for any Pokemon fan, and even a super fun game for people who aren't even into Pokemon. For real, I have plenty of friends that aren't really Pokemon fans that still really enjoyed the game because, well, it's a good game. So definitely, Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon is my personal favorite Nintendo 3DS game. That I'm gonna go play right now.
My favorite Nintendo 3DS game of 2019 is actually right up here. Mario & Luigi Bowser's Inside Story and Bowser Jr.'s Journey. Mario & Luigi Bowser's Inside Story came out on the DS about 7 years ago, and it was one of my favorite RPGs in that generation. This new version that came out in 2019 on the Nintendo 3DS includes all of the original's hilarious and captivating content. On top of that, they've even revamped the graphics and refined the gameplay. It also includes an original new mode starring everyone's favorite son of the famous Koopa King, Bowser Jr., as he gathers an army, creates formations, supports his allies with an arsenal of moves, and generally causes chaos in the best way possible. In this game, the Mushroom Kingdom is in danger. A dreadful disease dubbed the Blorbs has begun to spread throughout the kingdom, causing citizens to balloon up and roll around helplessly. It's a classic tale of boy eats lucky shroom, boy inhales his enemies, boy's enemies must find a way out, obtain the star cure to cure the Blorbs, and help stop Fawful from taking over the boy's castle. If you haven't checked out this game yet, I highly recommend it. It's probably my favorite on the 3DS for this entire year.
And finally, last but not least, I'll hit you guys with one of my favorites. Choosing just one 3DS game though, guys, it was so very tough. It's such a treasure trove. But if I had to recommend just one to play at this current moment in time in 2019, I would have to choose Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn. Extra Epic Yarn is a phenomenal port of an incredibly underrated Wii game that holds a special place in my heart. For me, Kirby games have always been a weakness for some reason. Since I binged Kirby 64 and the Crystal Shards when I was younger, oh my goodness, I don't know what it is, but they just like strike a nerve. They hit you right in the feels. They're so cute. They're like, I mean, I really can't put into words what kind of magic these types of games have. It probably explains a lot why I love Extra Epic Yarn so much. It stays true to the formula that makes Kirby games so special, while also introducing new yarn mechanics, special abilities, and so much more. Even though this is a remake of a Wii game, I think this is the definitive version of the game, and I totally think it's worth playing in 2019. Alrighty guys, so with that being said, let me know in the comments box down below what your favorite Nintendo 2DS or 3DS game is that you think is worth playing in 2019. Do you have a favorite go-to game? Was it one on this list? Was it another one? I would love to know your thoughts down in the comments box down below. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button because it always helps out the channel. And until the next one, I'll catch you guys later. Peace!